welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today is Bob McElhenney, who is with the Central Ice Foundation of Central Ohio. How you doing, buddy?
Really well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you here.
I appreciate
This is we're going to talk about ice hockey, and we're going to talk about some things that you've been doing. But first and foremost, we want to say thank you. 6-year Marine, we appreciate your service, what you've done for our country, and we just want to say thank you.
Well, I really appreciate it. That support from everyone means the world to us. So I guess rarely do I speak on behalf of all veterans, but I think they'd be okay with me saying we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit off air, and you were actually a machine gunner, right?
I was with the weapons company 124 out of Toledo. So that's where I'm from originally.
Uh-huh.
So I was with them, and yeah, I was a machine gunner for 6 years.
I could talk to you all day about that. And you're involved in you coach hockey, high school hockey,
Yeah.
and you're with the PHA Prowlers.
You got it.
Right?
You got it.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got involved in hockey.
Sure. Well, I became involved in hockey really as a rink rat, right? So I was a couple weeks old the first time I walked into an ice rink. I have an older brother. He actually coaches here in the area as well. He coaches out in Newark.
Okay.
So I have an older brother, and he started playing. And obviously, kind of by proxy, I had to go to the rink as well. And once I got to be about 3 years old or so, I started playing. I got skates on and started playing the game. And we were a hockey family through and through, right? We lived at the rink. So I played all the way through high school. Went to Sylvania Northview up in the Toledo area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Played through through my high school years, and then as you mentioned, joined the Marine Corps and spent several years there. And then in about 2010, I found my way down to Columbus. Actually, was brought down to Columbus or came down to Columbus to coach. So that's kind of what brought me down here, and I've been doing it ever since. Bounced around a little bit, but I've really found a home with PHA. So the PHA Prowlers, as you mentioned, they're a club high school team. So basically what that means, the only difference is from high school teams that I think folks are a little more familiar with, is that we pull kids from multiple schools. So we still have a district.
They can be on one team. I mean, you could have 5 different schools.
Exactly
on one
right.
Okay.
Exactly right. So we have multiple school districts that we pull from, but the districts are still, segregated in a certain way around town. So we have 7 different club high school teams that play in our league: Dayton, Hilliard, Northeast Westerville, Newark, Athens, and then us. And so each one has a group of schools that they pull from. So we kind of have the southeast side of town. So we take Grove City, Pickerington, Reynoldsburg, and then down into like Taze Valley Canal, Bloom Carroll, that kind of thing.
So it's like club volleyball or AAU basketball, that type.
Very similar, very similar. And for those that are in the hockey world, we play under USA Hockey. That's our governing body. So most folks that play under USA Hockey, and that's pretty familiar to them. But yeah, very similar. So we pull kids just from a little bit larger area. It's still high school hockey, like anybody would ever. If you walked in, you'd say, "Hey, here's a high school hockey game." It's exactly the same.
Growing up, did you have a favorite hockey player? Did you?
I don't know that I had a favorite player, and I know it's going to be a little tough being in the Columbus area now. Being from Toledo, I grew up a Red Wings fan, so you could run through all the Red Wings.
Sure.
Tim Chevel, I was a goaltender, so Tim Chevelday was really a guy that I looked to. It's kind of funny now, just kind of where he sort of fell in Detroit's history.
Sure.
But I guess I would probably point to Tim Chevelday, but big supporter of the Jackets now.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously being in town and still love to see the Red Wings do well, but love to go to the Jackets games and support those guys as well.
Did you want to be a goaltender, or did somebody come to you and say, "Hey, Bob"?
So I like to try to blame my brother for it because of course he had to had to put somebody in net and
Sure.
Fire tennis balls and things like that at. So I was that guy. But no, I think from day one it was pretty clear that I was going to be a goalie. I think that's as soon as I made that choice at 6 or 7, whatever it was, I never looked back.
What do you think about as a goaltender? I mean, I know you're watching the game, but okay, the rush is coming at you, and what are you thinking about?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's a big piece of goaltending, right? Most everybody else, or really everybody else, is constantly engaged in the play. Where we're only engaged really at one end of the ice. So to stay mentally engaged and mentally focused is really a huge part of the game. So it's you're following the game just like anybody else is following the game. You're trying to make sure you understand exactly what's happening at the far end of the ice. Let's say that the play's down there. But no, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what's going through your head is stop the puck. That's the idea, right? So
the fastest pucks come at you. I mean,
at the high school level, I mean, you've got guys topping out, probably 70, 75 miles an hour. Like I said, at the top end. That's definitely at the top end.
Sure.
But no, I mean that it moves. You got some guys, some of these young men that they're 16, 17, 18 years old, and
Sure.
they can lay into it.
Absolutely. Is there a lot of talking during hockey? I mean,
Constantly.
Is it worse than basketball?
It's what I would say. I don't know that I'd say it's worse, but there's a lot of talking going on. Whether it's players to other players or coaches or referees or all of it, but we're sort of encased inside that that glass ring. So a lot of it gets held inside there. But no, if you ever have the opportunity to be on the bench or be on the ice, it's chaos. It's everybody's hooting and hollering.
I always when I watch it on TV that when there's players in front of you in the crease.
Mm-hmm.
How close can they be? Because I mean, I've seen goaltenders push players out of the way, and I mean, how close can they be?
Yeah, so in the NHL, right, is a little different. The rules are different than how we play. So for us, they can never go in the crease, right? They're not allowed to be in the crease at all. In the NHL, that's not the case. In the NHL, they're allowed to be in the crease so long as they don't interfere with the goaltender. That's a very one sentence way of how the rules are, but. I mean they can. There's a little bit of bumping, a little bit of physicality that's allowed to happen for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, in the NHL, they can pretty much stand anywhere they want as long as they're not in the goalie's way.
That's amazing. How many games do high school play? I mean, is it full schedule 22?
So we'll actually play about 45 games total, but our season's about twice as long as the OHSAA season. So because we're governed by USA Hockey and not governed by OHSAA, our season's longer, so we play more games. So like I said, we'll start our tryouts are at the end of August, and we'll start playing games usually mid-September, and then we'll play through March. So you're talking between 2 and 3 games a weekend from middle of September to middle of March.
And we talked off air a little while ago about you're practicing at the chiller right now, and we're going to get into what you want to do down the road.
Sure.
But just is practice time tough to get? Is it?
It's incredibly hard to get right now. So we do practice at Chiller Easton. There are multiple chiller locations, kind of on the north end of town. So we have Dublin, what we call Chiller North, which is the sort of the Polaris area. And then there is Iceworks, which is Worthington, and then you have Easton, which of course is at Easton. And then you do have the Fairgrounds, which isn't the chiller, but the Fairgrounds does have an arena.
Sure, yeah.
And then you have the Ice House, which is connected to Nationwide. And then from there, you have to travel either to Newark or Springfield, are the next closest ice rinks.
I think the Fairgrounds is a long time with the Columbus Owls. I think played there years ago.
Long time ago. You're absolutely right.
I'm not that old.
No. You're absolutely right.
I think Shane told me that.
No, you nailed it. So they've had a couple teams go through there. They still keep ice there. Usually it goes in after Congress. So about November, they throw the ice in there, and then that runs through the end of the season. They pull it back out for springtime or I guess summertime.
That's amazing. How many kids normally will try out? I mean,
well, you hope for about 40, right? So you can roster. Well, typically most teams will roster 20 players. So if you're going to have a high school program, you're going to have a varsity and a JV program. You're looking to have full rosters on both. 20 and 20 makes 40. So you're hoping for 40. Some are above, some are below. It kind of fluctuates throughout the year, or not throughout the year, but from year to year. But yeah, your magic number is 40.
Breakdown of defensemen, forwards, goaltenders. How many do you carry?
So typically it's 12, 6, and 2. 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders. That would be again kind of a perfect world breakdown. Of course, things happen and you adjust accordingly. But yeah, 12, 6, and 2 is definitely the breakdown.
One of the things that I know we talked a bunch of, we met at Pickerington at the nonprofit showcase, but do you have any girls playing? Females?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, I've been with PHA now 6 years. This is my 6th season.
Okay.
Like I said, has absolutely become home. But we have had a female player on our team every year of my 6 years, and it's honestly it's awesome. I think it does so much to grow what we're trying to do and grow the game in general. I can tell you just from talking to female athletes how impactful it is when they come into a game that is absolutely,
Male dominant.
it is. It's dominated by men, and they're dominated by males.
Sure.
At least in a numbers sense.
Right.
And it's amazing how impactful it is when a young female comes in and she sees another young female playing high school hockey,
Sure.
something that maybe she thought, well, I can't do that. I have to go find a girls' team or I have to go,
Right.
somewhere else. And she sees one of her peers playing the game with the boys, right
Sure.
along with the boys,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. It's really cool to see.
We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk to Bob about his plans for what he wants to build here in Central Ohio. We'll be right back.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Did you know that 2/3 of teens and young adults who report abuse of prescription medicines are getting it from people they know, including friends and family? We need to remember to secure them in a safe place, even lock them up if necessary. Monitor your medications so you know exactly how many pills are in each bottle. And finally, keep track of your refills. If you are done with their use, properly dispose them to avoid abuse. You can do this in a number of ways. 1. Take them to a local drop box at the Lancaster or Pickerington police departments or at one of our drug take-back events. 2. Take the drugs out of their containers, mix them with cat litter or used coffee grounds in a container, seal and place them in the trash. Remember to remove all personal information from your pill bottles. Or 3. Check the prescription information regarding the specifics if the medication could be flushed, or call your pharmacist. Remember, if you are done with its use, properly dispose to avoid abuse.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the high school football game of the week. I'm Jared Stewart alongside Tim Shoemaker. Tonight, we've got a great one for you. The Bloom Carroll Bulldogs.
We had a great week of practice. Even in the rain and the weather, we had a great week of practice.
Schneider, lots of running room to midfield. He's gone. Ryan Schneider down the near sideline for a touchdown for the Aces.
We have a hold on the offense, number 20. That penalty will be declined. They'll bring up 4th down.
We're going to give you this game ball here because you're a Tiberios fan of the game, and thanks for being here, Jacob.
Thank you.
The Polar Bears are your OAC tournament champions, first time since 2009. What an exciting finish for the Ohio Northern Polar Bears.
Be very proud of this trophy because you've earned it.
Welcome back to this edition of Life's Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest from the Center Ice Foundation of Central Ohio, Bob McElhenney. How you doing, buddy?
Great, thank you.
We were talking in the first segment about your history and those things. You want to do something here in Central Ohio. You actually want to build a facility.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I very much appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we're trying to do, but we is a very important piece of that, right? So a group of us, predominantly just hockey folks, right? Hockey parents, people that were around the rink that had kids that play now and are on the ice multiple times a week. Basically, we got together and the short story is all said, hey, we need more ice, right? We need more places to play, and it wasn't just a hey, wouldn't it be cool? It was a demand, right? It was we can't find enough ice to practice. We can't find enough ice to have games. We are currently turning away hundreds of kids every year. We as a hockey community are turning away hundreds of kids a year. Young, we're talking 5, 6, 7-year-old kids that want to get into the game. They've done the learn to skates, they've done the learn to plays, and now they can't find a team because there's no ice for teams to be there's no ice available for these teams to play at. So again, we sat around and said, well, why don't we do it? Right, if it's not going to happen, any other way, why don't we do it? So that's really how this started, and then we really, like I said, just very grassroots and still very grassroots. Just started working towards this goal of can we build a facility? Can we build an ice rink? Obviously, we're all from the Pickerington area, or sort of the Pickerington surrounding area, and feel and have through our own research found that I think we're right on that that area specifically is a hotbed right now. So it's the fastest growing area for youth hockey in the Columbus area. We have the most kids, like I said, trying to get into hockey from that area. We also are a place that's virtually void of any ice rink. Like we talked about earlier, all of the ice rinks I mentioned, save one or two, are either north of 70 or they're I think there's only one east of 71, and that would be Easton. So we're really without a place to go. Not only is the ice time not available just because everybody needs a little piece of that pie, but we don't have anywhere else to find that ice unless you want to travel significant distances. And even they're tapped out on ice. So the good news is the game is growing. Kids want to play.
Sounds like it.
Exactly. So all we're trying to do is make sure that we have a facility where they can do that.
And have you found a location? I know you mentioned Pickerington.
Yeah, so we're working with, we've worked with the city of Pickerington. They have been unbelievable to us, and they have worked with us to find land inside Pickerington. So that's obviously a huge piece of it. To have their partnership is amazing. And then from there, really, it comes down to us being able to, fund the building of the rink. And that is 100% grassroots. And I know a lot of folks that we talk to, and we're thrilled to have the conversation. But most folks, the first time we talk about, we're going to build a $12 million ice rink, they go, well, I don't want my taxes to go up. I don't want my taxes to go up either. So this is 100% privately funded. We are not taking a single solitary dime of taxpayer dollars. You will never see a levy. You will never see your taxes go up, anything like that. All we're asking for is the support of not only the sort of southeast community, but the hockey community in general, and really the youth sports community in general, to say, hey, we appreciate that you're trying to do this, kind of on your own backs, and you're trying to do this without anybody's taxes or anything like that going up. Here's a donation, here's our support, and whether it's, quite frankly, whether it's financial or whether it's time, we need volunteers. We're always out there. We've got multiple events coming up. They're awesome fundraising events. We've got. We're going to go to the Red Rock Pub October 26th. We're going to do a viewing party for the football game.
Okay.
So we've got parades that are coming up. We're actually going to have all this on our website. Website is Center Ice Foundation OH.org. So Center Ice Foundation OH.org. And you can do everything there, whether you want to sign up to volunteer, you want to make a financial donation, or you want to see what events we have coming. It's all right there on the website.
Is there a phone number people can call if they just?
So we don't have a centralized phone number. Again, we are literally parents and hockey folks. So we don't have an office. I'm not I'm not heading back to any office or anything like that.
Right.
But folks are always welcome to call me. And again, all of our call or email, all of our information is on the website. I would encourage folks to head there, and like I said, all of it's there.
What's a realistic goal to? You mentioned 12 million. Is that the max, or is that?
I think that's a pretty fair estimate at what we're looking at. If we're talking about just an ice rink, And really, our goal right now is a 2-sheet rink. There's many reasons for that.
2-sheet meaning
Yep.
what?
So most, you figure call it a hockey rink, right? Let's just call
Okay,
it that.
okay.
One hockey rink we would call a sheet, right?
Oh,
So you have
okay,
one
okay.
sheet of ice. So we're talking about a
gotcha.
2-sheet facility.
Okay.
The reason for that, like I said, there's multiple reasons, but a lot of it has to do with the actual functionality of the facility itself. So being able to run tournaments, being able to potentially pull one sheet off to do maintenance while maintaining another sheet, or potentially doing things in the summer where maybe we lay turf down and things like that instead of
Oh,
running
okay,
an ice
yeah.
facility when hockey isn't quite as big. But you know, it's I'm a hockey person, right?
Sure,
I'm a hockey
yeah.
coach, and a lot of these folks are hockey people. But this is so much bigger than hockey. You know, like the figure skaters, you know, need
Oh,
more
sure.
time.
Oh, yeah.
The curlers
Yep,
need more time. The sled hockey teams and organizations need more time. Everybody that's out on the ice needs more time. I walked out of the rink a couple weeks ago and I saw the speed skaters. We were at Easton and the speed skaters were out there. And it's the same situation where they're relegated to these times that really nobody wants and many people can't
Right.
make
Yeah.
because there's just no more time left.
Exactly.
And that's not what we want. We want it to make we want to make sure that there's enough for everybody, and the only way to do that is to have another facility.
Have you visited other ice hockey rinks and said, boy, this is not like this? And I mean, things you've seen that you really like and things that you haven't?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what now, and especially with having the thought of trying to build an ice rink in
Yeah.
mind, now it seems like everywhere we go, we're always looking for something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things that you see that you go, hey, I would want this, or hey, maybe not this,
Yeah.
and you kind of do that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, when you play the game, for 15 years or whatever it was, and I've been coaching for another 10 or wherever we're at now, you see a lot of ice rinks.
Sure.
So
Oh, absolutely. The group, are you willing to, like, it's people watching the show say, hey, I want to get involved in that? I mean, is it something that maybe you're going to sell stock options to this to build, or?
yeah, I think there's nothing's off the table. I guess I
Okay,
would say
okay.
that nothing's off the table. We're looking for not only the grassroots donations and things like that, but partners. We've talked a lot about when this building
Sure.
gets up, you have opportunities for partnerships, opportunities
Right.
for advertisements. There's a number of different things. Like I said, nothing's off the table.
Right.
So we know, as our foundation, we know that we need an ice rink, but
Correct. Yeah.
kind of how that comes together is really we're open to the conversation.
Yeah,
If somebody were to come to us and say, hey, I've got a great idea. We can add your ice rink to it. And we can kind of both live happily ever after. Let's have that conversation.
What's the biggest misconception about ice hockey?
It's incredibly expensive. I think that's the biggest hurdle, the biggest mental hurdle. Is hockey more expensive than many other sports? Yes, it is. Does the equipment cost money? Does the ice time? Ice time is the biggest piece, right? Does it cost money? yes, absolutely. But can it be made manageable through a number of different efforts?
Right.
Fundraising. Used equipment drives. I mean, there's a million things
Sure.
that people are doing to make it very, very manageable. I mean, I have personally played with and coached and know of kids from every single walk of life.
Walk of life.
It can absolutely be made very manageable. But I think a lot of people, in just in general, I think people think, oh, hockey's way too expensive. I'm not even
Yeah.
going to think about, getting my kid involved with that. And really it's not. And it's one of the, I'm biased, but it is one of the, maybe the most tightly knit, passionate groups of people around youth sports that I think you can find. So it's a shame, if somebody just passes over it because they think, hey, I don't know if we can afford it. We can make sure that you afford it. And another piece of what the Center Ice Foundation hopes to do is once we get this building up, we don't want to just dissolve, and that's a piece of who we want to be, right? It's continuing kind of that fundraising effort and making sure that the game is accessible to everyone.
One of the questions I had as I was talking to people you were coming on, involvement of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah. So we have been, like I said, in conversations with a number of folks, obviously including the Blue Jackets. I mean, they are the major show in town. the Blue Jackets have been remarkably supportive of youth hockey in Central Ohio. They are, the number one reason that youth hockey has exploded like it has over the last 20 years. So obviously having them as a partner is would be huge for us. But yeah, like I said, I mean the conversations are certainly ongoing, and we would love any feedback from them or again
Right.
any kind of partnership would be amazing.
One more time, the website people can go to.
Yeah, it's Center Ice Foundation OH.org. It's a little lengthy, I know, but Center Ice Foundation OH.org.
The first time you're in goal and here comes this puck at you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, what have I got myself into? This looked a lot cooler on TV.
Well, I mean, being in the Marines and
Yeah.
machine gun, like, hey, these are coming back at me.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's it's great. It's a great position. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I live and breathe hockey and,
Sure.
and love it, and so do the folks that are, that are also in this organization, and so are literally thousands of families in the greater Columbus area. Like I said, I know these folks they're season ticket holders at the Jackets.
Yeah.
They love it. They love the game. They're at the rink 4, 5, 6 times a week, just like I am. So we're really hoping that we can bring that to Pickerington.
Just have a few minutes left. Team to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, you're really gonna put me on the spot here.
Sure.
I think that it's gonna continue to be a dark horse like it's been, arguably over the last couple of years. I think the NHL's got probably the best parity in any professional sport. So, only being 7 or 8 games in, that's a pretty tough one to call. But hey, I mean it's early, so hey, why not go with the hometown team
There you
and say
go.
the Jackets are gonna get it sorted out for the playoffs.
I tell you what, Bob, it's been great having you here. It is.
Thank you so
super
much.
having you
No, I
here.
really appreciate it.
Again, we've been talking with Bob McElhaney from the Center Ice Foundation of Central Ohio, and his plans to build a ice arena in the Pickerington area for youth hockey. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Ice Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.